Yeah, good day and God bless. You are now rocking with the best bro Parrish on your screen, and the man right by my side is the legend. You see him, Jesse Holley. What's good, baby?
What's going on, man? What's happening, brother? We here. We here. We
Yeah.
here. We here. Yeah.
Yes, we are. Another week of Bleav in the Cowboys, and I'm looking at my watch right now, and the date says a date after July 4th. So that means that you haven't seen us since before then, and you know where I'm going with this. That means Micah Parsons still has not been signed by the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the holiday came and went. Luckily, we didn't get that call on the holiday. But Jesse, your thoughts on the latest with Micah Parsons?
Tick, 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 tick. I don't know what they're waiting, but I'm glad that the Joneses decided that they weren't going to interrupt anyone's holiday and make this announcement. Probably because they were probably somewhere on their yacht off, in the Amalfi Coast, or who knows where they're at in that 250-foot yacht that they got. But it's just another day that has passed by, and the topic of discussion, and it has to be like, it as an organization. I'm like, because I ask myself, Ro, you get up every day. You're a busy man. I'm a busy man, and we work schedule based. We're schedule based people, right? And so we know, all right, here's what my Monday looks like. Here's what my Tuesday looks like. I got a little bit less a day on Wednesday. My Thursday's going to be kind of crazy. Friday, I got a little bit of reprieve on. When Jerry, when Steven, when Charlotte, when whoever, when Jerry Jr., when they wake up in the morning, I like, all right, cool. I'm going to have me, 4 slices of thick cut bacon. I'm going to have me 4 eggs scrambled well with cheese. I might do a pancake. It's not on the front of their mind. If we just take about 3 or 4 hours a day, we can hammer out this deal with Micah Parsons, get it over and done with. Like, what is on their agenda, and that they're saying to themselves, not today. Today ain't the day. I looked at the calendar, and it don't look promising that we get that deal done today. I don't know what in the football world that they're responsible of. They're not responsible for, shout out to Bucky Buchanan, all the guys in the equipment room who have to pack up everything from the Star and truck it across country to Oxnard. So they're preparing that stuff, and the training staff and the weight room staff, they're packing all this stuff up. So I get what their agenda looks like, but Jerry's not involved with the logistics of that. They're not involved in it. They're not involved with the logistics of hotel rooms and transportation and planes and who's going to be sleeping where. They're not involved in any of those logistics. So What is on the agenda football wise that they can't take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, because the parameters are already set. Take the last deal that was done, right? Whatever the last highest paid deal was done, add some more money to that, and then now y'all argue out the last couple of bids, whether it's no trade clause or how much is guaranteed. But the terms are already set. You're not writing the Declaration of Independence. Right, you know what I'm saying? You're not writing the 67th chapter of the Bible. You're writing a contract that is already in place. You just have to change the name. Hell, you can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, draw up the contract of the highest paid non-quarterback in the National Football League. Do that, change the name, let's go. Add a couple more $1 million to it because you waited. Let's go.
No doubt. And by the way, while we're shouting out people, shouts out Mike McCord as well. We know that he's been
yes,
OG.
Mike. Yes.
Hey, Mike got me laced up back in the day. I wasn't even a player, but he made me feel like I was a player. Know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So with all this said about Micah Parsons, just taking a quick side note, we got the TJ Watt situation. For those of you that don't know, TJ Watt is allegedly in conversations for an extension as well. There's rumors out there that he could be traded. Either way, all that said, how do you think the TJ Watt situation is going to affect the Micah Parsons situation?
It can only make the contract more expensive. TJ Watt is trying to get his last hoorah deal, right? He's already had the generational money, right? He's already the first round talent, already been in the second contract. So he's trying to get that, he's trying to get that, all right, I'm going to get a home, I'm going to get a ranch somewhere in Montana, and I'm going to get all the cattle. Like, he's just trying to get that money. He's trying to get that generational wealth money this go around. But, the years may not be there because he is older than what Micah is. But, of course, there is ego in TJ, who's saying like, hey, I've been defensive player of the year. I've led the league in sacks. I'm a full-time run stopper. I'm a pass rusher. I'm a tone setter. I'm a culture builder. I'm a vet in this locker room. I'm a person in this community. I am Pittsburgh Steeler football. And so he's going to try to leave his mark in the Pittsburgh lore with, his contract. So things like this, when you wait and see, and now when you look at, the trade with Jalen Ramsey to Pittsburgh, and he got a little bit of a raise. TJ Watt's like, listen, man, I've been a lifer here. I've given this team everything. I've given this city everything. I've competed my tail off every single year. Do right by me and pay me. And this can only mean one thing for the Micah contract, is that it's going to get even more expensive.
Absolutely. Listen, we are paying attention. We would like to see this get done sooner rather than later. We know that the Joneses have the tendency to wait to the absolute last minute, but that's neither here nor there. So again, we originally said by July 4th. Jesse, do you have a new date you would like to have the contract complete by?
Tomorrow. That's possible. I'm willing to spin the block and do another show with you tomorrow. I like you enough the ability to do another show with you tomorrow. Tomorrow would be great. Tomorrow would be great, right? Like tomorrow would be fantastic. But the more this, per Clarence Hill of All DLLS a network, Clarence said that Micah will have a house in Oxnard. Now, I'm old. You can see the grays on my beard. So maybe times have changed. I don't think they have, but maybe times have changed where players don't have to stay on the facilities and they don't have to stay in, on the compounds of where teams normally keep their training camps at. Or Mike is preparing for a bit of a holdout. He's saying, I'll be in Oxnard, but I won't be in Oxnard, right? I'll be present, but I won't be present. I'll be at a crib. It won't be the crib of the team. And so if that's the case, and that holds true that Micah is planning for this, then, we could be talking about a potential holdout or hold in or whatever they do nowadays with the, with the contracts. I know that, Micah's technically still on his rookie deal. So if he happens to hold out and, he incurs the fines per being on his rookie deal, they can still eliminate those fines when they come to signing. Unlike when you're a veteran, if you incur those fines, they can't wipe them away. Now, they can add money to your contract that's equivalent to the fines that you racked up while holding in or holding out. But as a rookie, they can wipe those away when they sign the contract. So, like I said, if what Clarence is saying holds to be true, that Micah has a house in Oxnard, and I don't believe the rules have changed. I don't believe the rules have changed where guys can stay wherever they want in the city. Maybe even Micah's looking like this thing is going to be a potential holdout if he's already got the Airbnb already situated.
And for those of you that don't know, Jesse's talking about Clarence Hill. If you're not familiar with the program that he has here or the program you two do together when you're not with us right here, I believe that is the legendary journalist here in the Metroplex who's been covering the Cowboys since 1996. In fact, they haven't won a Super Bowl since he started.
Showed up. And since that old Krusty showed up, they ain't won a Super Bowl since. That's my dog.
Hey, Clarence Hill didn't know he was going to be catching strays on the Cowboys podcast. Oh, man, shouts out to Chill, though. That's my OG. But, yes, we can't wait to see what the player that was drafted 12th in 2021, where's number 11? When is he going to get paid? We are paying close attention. Oxnard is right around the corner. We will both be there. Jesse will be there a little bit longer than me. So, again, Bleav in the Cowboys, Parrish, Jesse Holley. We love to have fun. We love to have great conversation, positive vibes. However, things happen in the offseason, and we've spoken about this before, but this is the time we got to get serious for a moment and lay things out. Just in case you don't know, All-Pro kick returner KaVontae Turpin was arrested Saturday in Allen, Texas. Now, reports are online. He's facing 2 misdemeanor charges. One is a gun charge, and the other is the possession of marijuana. So this is a lot to unravel again. It's a serious conversation, no easy way to transition to it. These charges that he has been arrested. So Jesse, we need to touch on this. Number one, your initial thoughts when you saw this, knowing how important Turpin is to the team, but just as a human being.
I gotta say, my first initial thought was, because we just live in such a day and time now where you just never know what's true, what's not true, which AI generated was not. So I kind of sat on it for a little while. I kind of heard about it really early Sunday morning, and I kind of just sat on it. I was like, I don't want to be. You're not going to get me to be out there and saying something about it. And then when it all began to come out that it was true, Ro, you have one job from the end of OTAs and minicamp to the start of training camp and the season. You got one job. Stay out of the precinct. You got one job. And I don't, for the life of me, Bill Parcells said it best. Nothing good happens after midnight. And I am not a partaker in the Mary Jane. Those that are great, fine, do your thing. No judgment here. Okay. Now, if that's what you had and you had the legal limit, fine. If you are a gun carrier, we live in the state of Texas. It is legal to carry a gun here, even now without a license, because the law changed a couple years ago. You want to carry a gun and you want to do it safely, by all means, you have the rights to do so. Have at it. No judgment by me. You can't mix the two.
No.
You cannot mix the two. And this is known. This is known. And when you're talking about trying, we heard it all off season about the culture, and changing the culture and doing different things, is you don't want to bring back that old culture, right? There was a time, and I'm not talking about the 90s Cowboys, because this ain't that. Someone jokingly said, "Oh, like the 90s are back." I said, "Wait." I said, "This is a misdemeanor.
Slow down."
I said, until somebody, I ain't hear nobody get stabbed. Ain't no cocaine. Ain't no horse trailers of weed. Relax. Relax. I'm like, no, this is a misdemeanor. Until a felony. No, I'm just joking. They would get it. But this is not that. But there was a point in time.
Until you're showing up to court wearing mink coats and doing things of that nature.
Yeah, for sure. But there was a time for the Cowboys where every single time they got a break. I mean, whether it was a bye week or a weekend or a little break or whatever it was, someone was getting arrested. Someone was dealing with the police. And you have to know that most of the time, and I know that we live in a city that Dallas is a pretty popular city, but your car looks different. Your car looks different.
Right.
And a lot of times police officers, when they're and they have a serious job and thank them for their service. And it's not me attacking the police, but it is what it is. In certain hours of the night, when police are patrolling and they see the flashy car or the car that they know, the Hellcat types, the Demon types, the Corvette types, the Lamborghini types.
You become an easy target.
You become a very easy target, because to them, let me pull them over and see. Let me pull them over and see if the registration is good. Do they have the legal pipes on there? Is something in the car? Is their license suspended? Is this a rapper? Is this a baseball, basketball, football, or hockey player? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a multitude of things that can happen, but you have to always understand, every time you leave out the door not just as KaVontae Turpin. You leave out the door as Dallas Cowboy kick returner / wide receiver KaVontae Turpin.
Absolutely.
And when you get pulled over by the police, you don't get just a normal KaVontae Turpin ticket. You now get Dallas kick returner wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys KaVontae Turpin ticket / arrest.
Right.
And now the Allen police is in the paper. They get headlines. The officer can probably say, I got another one. And I don't know what you were doing at that particular time. I don't know if your driving was reckless or speeding or what may have you. But it's just, you got one job. You got one job. Stay the hell out the way.
Right. Absolutely. So hold on for a second. Obviously, when you have a situation like this, the first concern is the alleged charges and making sure everything is handled properly from a legal standpoint. However, there is sport and there's going to be an impact on the team. So as a teammate, how is this handled in the locker room?
You know, Ro, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. And you've been around athletics your whole life, and you've been around high school and college locker rooms. You've been around NBA and NFL locker rooms, and so you know. If I'm being completely honest with you, and that's what I like to be, nothing. Nothing.
Interesting. Now, I ask this because I know every locker room is different, because there's some locker rooms where nothing will happen. However, there are other locker rooms where I've heard stories and there's a
this
series
is not that culture.
Checks and balances. Now, when you say it's not that culture, this is Shotty's first test as a head coach. So how do you think this is going to play out?
And this can be this will be a very interesting test, because you're right. This is his first shot of saying, "Oh crap, everything isn't peaches and cream. Everything isn't roses and butterflies." Right? I may now have to discipline. The NFL may not have to discipline or may not discipline. They may look at it and go, "It's nothing." How Shotty handles this is going to be critical, because I can guarantee this won't be the last rest of the Cowboys see. Not wishing that on anybody, but now what you have to deal with is, well, so-and-so got arrested. You ain't do that to him. Mine was just this. You know, and as much as you don't want to be, or say you that guy in the interrogation room being like, what about them? Oh, you think when another dude got to sit across from Coach Schottenheimer because they got into some sort of issue, whatever it may be, that they not looking at kind of the old Joe Randall thing when Joe Randall got arrested, he's in the precinct, he talking about some, well, y'all ain't said nothing to Dez Bryant. Whoa, hold on. You don't start bringing other men's name in this situation. No. Joe Randall about you ain't do this to Dez Bryant. You got to deal with Joe. But this is going to be, and they will be looking to see what Brian shot, how he handles it. What does he do? Because this will somewhat set a precedent on how things will be going forward in terms of trouble.
Absolutely.
Because you're gonna have two different situations. You're gonna have a team issue and you're gonna have a league issue. And the league may deem it as, it's a misdemeanor, slap on the wrist, we go about our business, right? But what does the team say? Because this is the locker room that you have to go in every single day. And like I said, and as far as the team, this isn't a team that looks at this and, there isn't that checks and balance. This isn't one of those veteran locker rooms where you have to answer to the dudes who've been around here a while, what the hell you doing? What's going on? And I don't know if that's necessarily always the right answer, or the answer that people want to hear. But man, there is so much that goes on. There is a fine line of delineation between what you do in your personal life and what you do in your professional life, because that's what makes pro locker rooms. I don't pick the sport you want, but pro locker rooms very unique. And you can take unique however you want to take unique, positively, negatively, but you'll have things happen in those locker rooms. I mean, you have, religion wise, you'll have Muslims, Christians, atheists, Buddhists, whatever, in the locker room. And I may not agree with what you agree with religiously, but if left side is the strong side, then we're going to go do our job and put religion aside. Democrat, Republican, independent. I may not agree with you politically, but if left side is the strong side, we're going to go out here and do what we do and put political takes to the side. Same thing happens. I think the only thing that really gets people to draw a line is children. If something comes out negatively that involves children, that then there's a because even sometimes even with with the domestic violence stuff, you have a lot, because you what you gonna do? You gonna not go out there and play? Because if we're supposed to be teammates together, you don't have to like me to do your job and to do your job effectively. So when you ask, how certain things happen in the locker room, what impacts the locker room negatively because we talk about it. And then now when camp opens up, it may be a topic of discussion where, hey, Dak, what do you have to say about KaVontae Turpin being arrested or anybody else? Now Dak's like, man, next question. And Mike is like, next question.
Right. And to anybody that knows anything about sports that's played on a team, you never want those distractions. You never want that outside chatter. By the way, kudos for you for the use of the word delineation, which is the action or describing or portraying something precisely. And I love that you use that word so precisely as an OG now, as a retired player who can now be looked at as not only a veteran, but an OG, a mentor, someone that could potentially be a coach, a father figure on the staff. What should the punishment be, and what do you think it should be?
Ooh.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Man, that is so tough. That is so tough to answer because here's the thing. If Jesse Holley is the head coach and it is my job and I'm trying to set culture and I have a standard and I've laid my standards out to you. And if Shotty's worth anything as a head coach, before they broke OTAs in minicamp, there should have been a conversation that he had with the team. Hey guys, take care of one another, stay out of the precinct, stay out of trouble. If you need anything, call me, call Brian Wansley, call Cabe, call whoever. But hey, don't drink and drive. Don't do, you know what I'm saying? There should have been that conversation. Now, if that conversation is had, I would consider that as your warning, right? Like to me, if I'm the head coach, if I don't have the conversation with you, now something comes up, depending on the severity of it, this conversation might be the warning, depending on where we fall at in the severity. But if I've had the conversation with you and we've spoken about it and I've listed the things that I do not want you to do, to me, that is your warning. And if I'm trying to set a standard, which is a championship standard, or something that I have to hold each and every guy to, then for me, there's a fine. There's a hefty fine that will come to this. And it would also be, let this be fair warning to anyone else. Okay? Because sometimes, and you know this, Ro, when it comes to athletes, sometimes the only thing that can get this hard head to actually understand something, tap their pockets. You tap them pockets and you get their full attention. You start pulling those Benjamin resources, those Franklin resources, those Jackson resources away from them. And all of a sudden, this thing that was hard, all of a sudden you start looking around and you go, especially guys who don't have a bunch of it.
Right.
And sometimes you got to be this. You got to be the example. And KaVontae, it's unfortunate that if I was the head coach, if this is just Jesse Holley, if I was the coach, I'm setting the example. You just so happen to be, because I talked to y'all already about this.
So what are we talking? Are we talking games? Are we talking a dollar amount? Are we talking both?
Well, we're talking a dollar amount. I mean, we're talking, for me, probably somewhere between 50 and 100. Okay. Whatever the max is that I can get.
Got you. Okay. Because I mean, this is going to be huge. And as we discussed already, as we Bleav in Cowboys right here, Parrish and Jesse Holley, this is a huge moment at the beginning for Brian Schottenheimer as he establishes himself as the head coach of America's team. How are you going to handle this situation? Everything's not rosy right now. What are you going to do? So I get it. 50K, 100K, whatever it is going to hurt his pockets. He is an all-pro return man. Now, if he does miss time, you have to think about, obviously, the ramifications off the field, but on the field, who are his replacements? Who is going to be expected to fill this void of an all-pro kick returner, punt returner, and somebody that can do what he do when he gets on the offensive side, whether it be running the ball or catching the ball?
Well, and that's another thing. When you talk about his return skills, I mean, he's an all-pro. He's probably the best in the league right now at what he does, returning the ball, punts, and kickoffs. And this is another funny thing that happens in the league. It's the spoken relationships. It's a guy like Deuce Vaughn who will be fighting for a job this training camp. Now, does he wish ill will on KaVontae? I highly doubt that he does.
Right.
I truly, highly, highly, highly doubt that he does. Oh, but if.
Right.
Oh, but if.
Right.
Something were to happen. I'm not asking for it. I'm not wishing for it. I'm not praying or hoping for it. Oh, but if coach decides that it's going to be a game or this or that, that means I now have an opportunity to showcase a skill set. Thank you. I appreciate the offer. Your penalty is my reward, and we keep pushing, and I try to make the best of it. But depending on what the penalty is, someone may have an opportunity to showcase, and that may be someone that does something miraculous or spectacular. Football is a very weird lady, and she does some weird things to you. You may put a guy back in the preseason, and he may return every single punt that he gets back for a touchdown. Oh, now we have a situation on our hands.
Right.
So, guys like Deuce Vaughn, who will be looking for an opportunity. One of those guys, guys like that's the fourth, fifth, sixth receiver on the team, DBs who are looking to make an impact. Because if you're not a starter, if you're not the second string guy, you better find yourself some special teams to play. And if KaVontae's mishap just so happens to open up a door for someone else, hey, you feel me knocking, let me in.
Exactly. I mean, we talked about guys that can come in and make plays. I mean, you already mentioned Deuce Vaughn, who's small in stature, but his quickness and acceleration is top notch. Then you have someone who's coming in as a rookie, someone like Jaydon Blue. You've heard his name potentially.
Jaydon Blue, yes.
You mentioned as somebody that could potentially fill that role. It's good to see that maybe he would be somebody that would potentially have a shot.
No, the name slipped my mind, but Jaydon Blue, another guy who's looking for opportunities. Training camp is all about opportunities. It's what have you done for me lately? And every time the coaches turn on the film in training camp, I want to flash. I want to pop. I want to be accelerating. I want to be making plays. I want to be eye popping. I want them to have the tough discussions in the meeting room. When they're looking at that big board of all 90 guys on there and they got to start peeling names off that board, whenever they come to my name, I want it to be, we can't let him go. You saw what he did in practice. You saw what he did in the game. You saw what he did in the preseason game. I don't want it to be Jesse Holley. Yep. Off the board. Move on. Yep. Go get his playbook. No, when you get to my name, because of the plays that I made with the opportunities that I was given, I want it to be tough. And again, guys like Blue and others who are looking for opportunities, however they come, this could be an opportunity for them. But also the thing that Brian has to also worry about in the back of his mind is, I need my, not to use a gun reference, but I need a fully loaded clip for Philadelphia.
Right.
My butt's on the line too, right? So that's the given the gift and the curse in this, the yin and the yang of, boy, do I have to kind of set precedence on what I am going to be as a head coach. Boy, do I need players to win as a head coach. Are you talking about taking off an all-pro kick returner, punt returner, number 3 or 4 wide receiver, gadget guy off the field potentially if I suspend him for the first game of the season against the reigning defending Super Bowl champions? That's where that Libra scale comes into play. Right. on how do I make this thing equal for myself, for the team. I'm kind of glad I get to sit here and talk to you about it. And I don't have to be the judge, jury, and execution of it.
Right. It's the classic situation: talent versus trouble, problems versus production. Which one do you go with? Which one outweighs the other? And luckily, like you said, that's not a decision that either one of us have to make. The only decision we have to make is when we're going to sit down and record this podcast. We appreciate every single one of you for locking in with us as we get ready. We're warming up. This is only the beginning, baby, because training camp's on the way, and then the season will be here before you know it. So again, we appreciate everybody. It's about time to wrap up. We appreciate everything that you do. Jesse. you always get the last word, brother. So before we get out of here, go and tell them what you need to tell them.
I just want to say this, and I'm sure you echo the same sentiments, and Bleav echoes the same sentiment. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to all the families with the devastating flood in Kerrville this past weekend, with over 50 lives lost due to the flood, and all the kids at camp. I could not imagine sending my kid to a camp and then getting a call that we can't find your kid. And so my heart breaks for those families, and I pray for comfort for them. I pray that those that are still missing are found alive. And I don't know how people will get closure or comfort from this, but I'm a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, and so I pray that you do that you do find that comfort that you need, because this is a devastating situation. So our thoughts and our prayers go out to each and every one of those families impacted and affected by the flash floods that happened in Kerrville, Texas this past weekend.
I echo everything that you said. It's heartbreaking. It's gut-wrenching. It's a very tough isn't even the word to describe. And, we here on this podcast, we send our best to all the families, all the victims affected. And wow, hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast and you have been affected, hopefully we're giving you an opportunity to step away from that. We know it's reality, but to step away from that momentarily, to take your mind off of that and give you some form of entertainment as you grieve and go through your process. So much love. We're sending our best to all the families, all the victims, everyone affected by the floods in Central Texas.
Yep. Hey, as we always say, man, eliminate the contingencies.
Indeed. Hey, love, respect, and salute.